11 major restaurant chains are cutting back hard in 2025, some closing dozens of locations, others shutting down entirely. These are names you've probably eaten at for years. And whether it's fast food or sit-down, the changes are happening fast. In this video, we'll walk through who's being hit the hardest, why it's happening, and what it means for your daily life. More importantly, we'll look at what you can do to stay ahead of it, and which places may still be worth your time and money. But before we get into the list of restaurants, let's quickly go over why this is happening in the first place. The biggest issue right now is rising costs. Food prices, labor, rent, insurance, just about everything it takes to keep a restaurant running has gotten more expensive. And most customers can't afford to pay 10, 15, 20% more just to grab a burger or a plate of pancakes. Especially not families or folks on a fixed income. So restaurants are stuck. Raise prices and risk losing customers. Don't raise them and they lose money. Either way, a lot of them are shutting their doors. Now let's go through the restaurants seeing the biggest impact, starting with Jack in the Box. They recently announced they'll be closing up to 200 locations, including many Del Taco stores. That's one of the largest single shutdowns we've seen from a national chain in years. Their sales dropped over 4%. And they're cutting back fast to reduce debt and stay afloat. Applebee's is next. Earlier this year, one of their largest franchisees filed for bankruptcy, which led to at least 8 closures in the Midwest. Overall, sales for the company are down nearly 4%. And when the franchise groups start folding, it usually means more cuts are coming. Denny's is also pulling back. In 2025, they confirmed more than 70 restaurant closures. And for a lot of communities, especially in smaller towns, that's a major loss. Denny's has long been a staple for retirees, night shift workers, or anyone needing a reliable meal at any hour. When it disappears, the routine disappears with it. Red Robin, famous for its burgers and endless fries, is shutting down around 70 locations this year too. They've been quietly reducing their footprint over the last few years. But this is their most aggressive round of closures so far. Then there's TGI Fridays. After filing for Chapter 11 late last year, they've continued closing restaurants through 2025. They're now down to about 85 locations nationwide, less than half of what they had not too long ago. Once a popular go-to for casual dinners, they're struggling to stay relevant in today's tighter economy. On the border, Mexican Grill and Cantina is another one in serious trouble. They filed for bankruptcy earlier this year and have already closed more than 70 locations. Only about 60 remain across 18 states. They cited inflation, high wages, and weak foot traffic as reasons, and there are still more lease cancellations expected. Hooters of America also filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in early 2025. Dozens of their company-run restaurants have closed already, and they're pivoting to a leaner model focused more on franchises. Whether or not you visit Hooters, this is another sign of widespread contraction. Now let's shift to McDonald's. In 2025, they posted their worst quarterly sales since 2020, with a 3.6% drop. That's rare for McDonald's, which usually holds steady even in tough times. When a giant like that starts to show cracks, it tells you how much pressure the industry is really under. Chipotle is facing its own slowdown too. This year marked its lowest performing quarter in 5 years. Rising prices and slowing traffic are hitting them harder than expected. And for a brand that was expanding rapidly, this cooling off is a notable shift. Then there's Popeyes. They've reported a 4% drop in sales this year. And while that might not sound huge, it's part of a growing pattern. Customers are starting to pull back, even from brands that were booming just a couple years ago. And finally, Burger King. They missed expectations again this year and have already started closing underperforming stores. In some areas, entire clusters of Burger Kings have vanished. It's a quiet contraction, but one that's affecting more towns than people realize. So what does all this mean for you? If you live in a smaller town, the number of places to eat out is likely shrinking. And it's not just about food. It's about routine, familiarity, and affordability. A lot of these chains offered value meals, senior discounts, or a consistent experience you could count on. When they disappear, there's not always a good replacement nearby. Even in larger cities, the prices at the chains that do survive are climbing fast. A meal that used to cost $9 now runs you $14, sometimes more. For people trying to stretch a fixed income or stick to a budget, eating out just doesn't feel doable like it used to. But not all hope is lost. Some regional chains are still holding strong, and many local, family-owned diners are staying afloat by keeping prices reasonable and serving their regulars well. These are the spots that often survive when the big brands pull out. So if there's one near you, supporting them can make a real difference. And if you've seen any of these closures in your area, I'd like to hear about it. Has your local Denny's or Burger King shut down recently? Has a place you used to visit suddenly disappeared? Let me know in the comments. These aren't just national trends. They're everyday changes that people are seeing block by block. Thanks for watching. I'll keep covering this story and others like it, especially how they affect older Americans, retirees, and anyone trying to navigate these shifts without getting left behind. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.